I'm really pleased to introduce our second keynote speaker, Frederick Moore. I'll tell you a little bit about Frederick. During his time at UCSF as a PhD candidate and later as a postdoctoral researcher, Frederick commenced upon a multifaceted campaign to increase participation and empowerment of underrepresented minorities in STEM higher education and the related careers. And if you, kind of to achieve that, and where you look at what he's doing today, Frederick's a board member of Building Diversity in Science, a not-for-profit he founded all the way back in 2001 while still a student at UCSF. He's the managing partner of Potency, a book publishing and educational consulting company he founded. And he's also the director of the MESA program at San Francisco City College. It's a program which increases the retention and transfer rate of economically disadvantaged students majoring in STEM fields and helps them matriculate in bachelor degree programs at schools such as the UC schools. And along the way, Frederick has earned accolades and great results for the students and educators who have participated in his programs. But as always, the kind of recounting of titles, organizations, and accomplishments don't really tell the full story. And they don't tell you how compassionate, positive, and thoughtful Frederick is and what he brings to his work and to his interactions. And I've had the benefit of listening to and learning from Frederick in both the group and one-on-one settings, and always have come away with a lot to think about and definitely a broader perspective, and always a few laughs too, which is critical to. And we were really pleased to have secured some of Frederick's time to contribute to our efforts at D by D, and I'm looking forward to learning from his talk today. With that, I'll turn it over to my friend Frederick Moore.
All right, thank you, Garrett. All right, so I don't have that much time to speak, and I sometimes can be, I can speak a little bit, so I'm gonna go from 0 to 60 in 2.1 seconds. We're just gonna jump right in. All right, let's see. All right, so the title of the talk is Developing Your Authentic Voice. All right, so where does authenticity begin? This is a quote that I came up with a couple years ago, but it's something that I feel like I've been wrestling with for a while. When I developed the courage to love myself enough to care more about being truthful to myself versus displaying an untruthful image of myself to others, my journey towards internal power began. I'm going to read it one more time. When I developed the courage, yes, it does take courage, to love myself enough to care more about, being truthful to myself, instead of, lying to myself, but being more truthful to myself versus displaying an untruthful image of myself to others, my journey towards internal power began. So I'm going to give my definition of what having an authentic voice is. I tend to make up a bunch of words all the time and definitions of them. So, don't look this up in Webster anywhere, but you heard it from me. And if you see it anywhere else, they stole it from me. All right, so allowing your inner voice, you can call it an inner voice, you can call it your intuition, your gut instinct, that is connected to your power source to express your feelings and thoughts from a place of wisdom and knowingness. And I'm going to dig a little bit deeper in the talk in regards to this power source. But it's this place within you that talks to you, and sometimes we listen and other times we don't. All right, so I believe that we have to learn how to trust our inner voice. And so this internal power that I believe exists in all of us is connected to wisdom, is connected to knowledge and understanding. But we also have sometimes these shells, these things that are stopping us from letting that shine completely. So for example, fear. Fear is one of those motivational factors that sometimes can motivate us to do things that we wouldn't do, but also can immobilize us. But I believe that when we make decisions coming from a place of fear, they're most of the time not the best decisions. There's also a lack of trust, right? And sometimes there's a part of us that has to, this has to happen first before I believe that this will happen. So for example, you know, you may be pursuing a goal, but certain stages have to happen first, or someone has to then give you something for you to believe, now I have faith that I can do it. There's a lack of awareness. So in regards to a lack of awareness, there's a discernment that happens when we sometimes hear this inner voice, where is it really the inner voice saying that, or is it our ego, or is there a bias there? And when there's a bias there, then there's a part of us that desires or wants something to happen versus really listening to that voice and what it's actually saying with that kind of clarity. So one example is when I was an undergraduate student, I was working for a big time chemist at Berkeley, and I wanted to go to graduate school at MIT. And there was a person there, his name was David Page, that did research on the Y chromosome. And so for whatever reason, I just loved his work. You know, I was out at Boston one time for a conference. I went by and visited his lab. I'm like, yeah, I'm applying to grad school here next year. Would love to rotate in your lab. I mean, I really wanted to go there very, 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 very bad. You know, my folks even were going to buy me a new car when I graduated. And I was telling them, you got to buy me an SUV and it has to have 4-wheel drive because I'm going to be in Boston. Like, that's where I'm about to be, right? So anyway, I applied to MIT. I don't even get an interview. And I'm like, what? I'm like, for real? Like, a brother can't even get an interview? Like, that's how y'all feel about me? So I was talking to my advisor, and he was like, let me pick the phone up real quick and call the head chairperson in biology at MIT and get you in. And something in me was like, no. I was like, no. And he was like, are you sure? And in my mind, I was like, am I sure? And he was like, let me pick the phone up real quick. It's like, he said, it must be a mistake, right? They should at least be giving you an interview. And I was like, no. It's all good. Like, let me just go on the interviews of these other schools that, you know, are looking at me, and let me just play this thing out, because my gut instinct, that voice was saying no. So anyway, I decided to go to UCSF, not because there was a professor there that I was interested in working with. It's just because it felt right. Like, I was engaging the graduate students there during the interview, and I'm like, this is where I'm supposed to be. So lo and behold, 2 weeks into starting at UCSF, I was at a retreat for these incoming grad students, and there was a new professor that just started, and she was the postdoc in that guy's lab that I wanted to join at MIT. I became her first grad student. I got a chance to choose between all the projects, and she actually was working on the stuff that I was most excited about, and we blew up. And it was more than I would have expected, because, you know, the mentors that I actually had at UCSF, you know, Michael Drake, who's now the chancellor of University of California System, you know, Joe Castro, who's now the chancellor of the California State University. These were all people that were mentors of mine when they were starting out. And like, they just poured into me. And my nonprofit organization was able to benefit from just that connection. And so all that to say is that I got way more from a situation that in my mind, I was like, this is the best thing for me. And a part of me wasn't fixed on this has to be the way that it has to end. And sometimes when we desire something, we're so fixated on it happening one way that we don't open ourselves up to allowing it to happen in infinite other type of ways that could be more beneficial to us. Sometimes we have resistance, and the resistance piece could just be not wanting to or not feeling comfortable with change, right? Not, you know, and we have to learn how to get comfortable with change, you know. And the thing is that the only constant that we have in our physical universe is change. So either you're expanding or you're contracting. You're not staying the same. And we have to learn how to have a different relationship and not have that resistance and stopping that flow of something that could be coming towards us because we want to control it in whatever way. that in a way that really doesn't exist. And then there's the self-doubt piece. So the second point I want to leave you with is aligning your thoughts and feelings and your words. So at the end of the day, our thoughts and our feelings or words are just another form of energy. And when your thoughts and your feeling, your passion are in alignment with your words, then they're in phase at the very bottom and it has power, right? But we've all have sensed probably somebody who was talking about something and it sounded right, it sounded real, it sounded logical, but you're just like, this person don't believe this. Matter of fact, it don't even feel right, right? What they're saying sounds like it's a script, right? What they're saying, they're not passionate about it. But when we have our authentic voice, those three things in my mind are in alignment, that our thoughts and our feelings are in alignment, and we're choosing the words that can punctuate that and have the greatest impact because they're all in phase and they're working together. So the third point is taking steps to develop your authentic voice. One of the things is that we have to just start off sometimes in a safe space. So, when I was at UCSF at the time, it's, late 90s, there was only 2 people of color, 2 Black folks that were in the graduate program that I was in. And so I felt well looked at. And a part of me feared, raising my hand and engaging and talking in these big seminars where you have all these intellectual people that are kind of jousting with each other and kind of digging in. But what I didn't want to do is not take advantage of that opportunity. And so what I did is I created a journal club with the small lab that I was in, this new lab that I was in, with a couple labs that were adjacent to us. And every week I would get together with 7 or 8 other scientists, and we would cover these different journal articles. And in that space, I was able to gain my confidence and understand that, yes, my mind and my thoughts still have value. And I could engage and really jostle in the way that I really wanted to. And then I spread out into another environment that was more challenging until I could get to a place where it did make a difference where I was at. I had that voice and I knew that the things that I was thinking about, had value to them. And I could ask those questions, or I could engage folks in a way that maybe I wouldn't have felt comfortable if I didn't take those small steps. We also have to observe if our feelings accurately match the words that we're using when we communicate. Sometimes, feelings are one of those things where, they don't have words attached to them. They could be images, it could just be a rush of emotions, right? And sometimes getting it out, we sometimes vomit it out, and we have to learn how to practice and think through and find a way to make sure that the words that we use can better match maybe what we're feeling inside. So that takes practice too. Observing how our words, our tone, and our energy have an impact on individuals. Because sometimes there's a surge of energy, and maybe there's some energy that we maybe judge in a way because it's a little bit of jealousy or a little bit of anger or a little bit whatever, and it's not having the desired effect on the person that we're communicating with. And we have to sometimes learn how to take a step back and take a deep breath and give ourselves time to let our thoughts and our words and our feelings match up in a way that can be effective in that moment, right? And that sometimes just takes wisdom, but also creating space and not reacting to the situation, but responding to it because we thought it through. And then the last thing I just wanted to share is having the ability to just maybe talk to people who you believe that have an authentic voice and trying to get a sense of how they developed it for themselves. Amanda Gorman, this young Black woman who was a laureate, the poet laureate at the Biden's inauguration, she speaks with an authentic voice. And it's been neat to listen to some of the interviews with her afterwards, where she was talking in one of them about having a speech impediment and having certain letters that were hard for her to pronounce. And she was thinking of herself as a victim. And she said that I had to just tell myself one day that the only thing that's going to hold me back in life is myself. And she found a way to move forward. And so I want to leave you with those 3 points. And this is a slide of me back when I was authentically listening to rap music and turning up when I used to do research back in the day. So thank you.
Thank you, Frederick. That was wonderful. Our speed mentoring event, so glad that everybody could join. And Stacy, why don't you lead us home?
Right. Well, first of all, thank you, everybody, for taking the time to join us today. I'm Stacy McCutcheon. I am the Communications Manager for Stanford Biodesign, help organize this event today. And I just most importantly want to see if there were 1 or 2 good takeaways. If anyone, maybe a mentee or a mentor or one of each, could share one thing that they thought was of value to the group. Just get a sense. If anyone, maybe raise your hand.
So I was actually pleasantly surprised. I thought I was an anomaly in med device, having no med device or very little med device background, and I quickly learned that most of everybody I talked with did not have a med device background before they had started their most recent role. So I would say that that was really of value in just knowing the diverse background that everybody has come from. And how they were able to parlay their experiences into med device.
I love that. I love that. I took the long way around too. I started in PR for commercials, people that filmed commercials, which is really something that nobody's interested in, and it's taken a long time. Oh, and there's something in the chat from Sue Carr, who said she also took the long way. How about one comment from a mentor? Because, you know, as Josh said, this learning goes both ways. Does anyone have something to share?
Maria, I saw you raised your hand first. I didn't know we were raising hands. I would have done it first.
No, I was impressed. I interacted with someone that had very, very precise questions and knew what she wanted to get out of it. So that definitely made for the short time very efficient.
That's wonderful. That is one of the drawbacks of today's sessions, is it's hard to go deep in just that short amount of time. But again, this is just meant to be an opportunity to introduce everyone to what this kind of a relationship can be. So I won't delay. I just want to tell you, we're going to be sending a very short survey, all of 4 questions. So I would encourage everyone to please fill it out. It will go a long way towards helping us make this event better in the future. And also we plan to stay in touch. So we hope to continue to reach out to this group with information about upcoming events and programs that we hope might be of interest to you. And then a final thanks to the other wizards behind the curtain. If you think things went smoothly today, it's only because of the efforts of our master organizer, Annette, and our Zoom master, Antia. And without them, yeah, it would have been a big black screen. So that's it. Have a great afternoon. And thanks everyone for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. It was awesome.
Thank you.